When it comes to the transfer portal losses and opt-outs, Boston College could be in a better position than Nebraska.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. I'm your host, AJ Black, editor and publisher of Eagle Insider. This is Locked On Boston College, the only daily Boston College podcast. You can get this on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get yourself started. On today's show, we have two big topics we're going to talk about. Dave Clawson, the Wake Forest head coach, is going to end his career retiring and how this is going to impact Boston College. I'll explain how that could impact them on the recruiting trail and just some last thoughts on Clawson as on his way out. But mostly, we're going to get into some Pinstripe Bowl discussion. And I want to look at how Boston College is going to look in this bowl, because when you look at a bowl game, it's very different year to year how a team will present. Now, you looked at BC in the Fenway Bowl last year. The only big loss that they lost in that game was Christian Mahogany. Mahogany, they kept that vague until the day of the game, and he did not play. That was the only big loss. But if you look at like Nebraska, for instance. You know, I was on with Locked On Nebraska last week, and they're talking about their team. Most of their defense is gone. Their defensive coordinator is gone. Their linebacker coach is gone. You know, they've lost a lot of talent. Now, they still have Dylan Raiola. They've got some good running backs, but they do not have a lot, which made them really good. Because if you talk about Nebraska, the big piece of what made them, you know, a 6-6 team was their defense. Their defense carried them. Their offense didn't do all that great this year. Now, most of their defense is gone. Now, if you look at BC, we're looking at the defensive side of the ball here. First, the big question I think on everyone's mind is Donovan Ezeiruaku. Is he going to play? We don't have an answer to that. Now, if I were to look at my crystal ball, you know, rub that, see if this was December 27th and we still have not heard from Bill O'Brien what the status of Ezeiruaku is, and I bet you, and I was wrong on this before, but I bet you here that Bill will not tell us anything about Ezeiruaku. But if I was a betting man, I would bet he doesn't play, because there's no incentive other than playing for his guys, his soldiers that he's been with for thick and thin all season long. There's bigger losses for Ezeiruaku if he doesn't play. You know, he has worked his tail off this season. You know, just today, when I'm recording this, he was named All-American AP. He's been ACC Defensive Player of the Year. Walter Camp, second team All-American for Walter Camp. First team All-American for the American Football Coaches Association. He has worked all the way up from a guy that had 2.5 sacks last year to All-American. Would he risk millions of dollars? I would venture, you know, if he goes in there and something, God forbid, bad happens, it's going to kill his draft stock. He's worked so hard and pushed himself into, you see him potentially as a late first rounder, at least a second round draft pick. Would he risk that to go play in the Pinstripe Bowl? I can't answer for him. I just can't. I'm just thinking, if I was him, I wouldn't do it. But that's not my choice to make. That's Donovan's choice to make, and we'll have to wait and see. Now, if you were to tell me this let's go back in time a little bit. Say we knew back in September that this was going to be the end result. Donovan Ezeiruaku was going to have a huge season, and we would be talking about whether he'd play in the bowl. Back in September, I would have said, there's no way he's playing. But we just saw Cam Ward and Travis Hunter, two Heisman finalists, probably top 5 draft picks, both announced that they're going to play in their bowl games, and neither of those teams are in the playoffs. So I'm not sure if the vibes have changed around playing in in bowl games. I don't think it will be, but Kyle McCord's in it. He's playing. Like, there's more and more guys. Now, my biggest hint, like, if O'Brien doesn't talk about this, if he just keeps it quiet, which, strategically, what's the point of him telling anybody about this? But if maybe he does keep it quiet, right? What does what's the point of him doing that? Like, why would he want to tell anybody? So I think we're going to find out, you know, later, right before the game. Basically, we're going to turn on the Pinstripe Bowl and we'll find out. But hey, O'Brien surprised us before by telling us things, so we'll have to wait there. The other big factor for Boston College is going to be, and honestly, it's not that big of a factor anymore because I think the guy that replaced him has been playing fine. The health of Cam Arnold. Will he play? Cam Arnold has had some sort of injury. We don't know what it is. He's been day to day for about 2 months now. And we're not sure when that day to day is going to end. Is that a 6-month day to day or is that a 2-week day to day? But I think that's going to be something to watch for as well. Now, the key here, one of the keys to watch for, I lost my train of thought a second ago, but it just came back to me, is one great thing to watch for is the BC football Twitter page. Because practices are closed to the media, we won't know. But sometimes, you can look for people, look for number 5, look for number 6. So far, have seen nothing. So you've seen a lot of Joe Marinaro out there and a lot of Davion Crouch. So my guess, and I saw Josiah Griffin, pictures of him too. So that could be the case. And look at what Bill O'Brien has said. He said, was it last week during his press conference? He said, this is going to be more of a showcase of what the 2025 team is going to look like. To me, that is code for Donovan Ezeiruaku's gone. Cam Horsley could be gone. Cam Arnold probably won't play. Those 3 at least on the defensive side, and we'll talk about the offensive side in a little bit. That could be a chance for some younger guys. So what names could we be watching for? I just mentioned Josiah Griffin. That was a kid that came up a ton during camp, and we saw him play 0 this season. I think maybe played like 1 or 2 snaps, maybe played a little bit against Duquesne, but he kind of got buried a little bit. I would imagine Neto Ekpala is still going to play. So most likely your edge rushers in this game will be one guy that's gone and that's going, and one guy that's coming back. So Hutchins and Ekpala. But you could also see a little bit of Josiah Griffin too. Interior, if Cam Horsley doesn't play, and we're not sure if he will or not, I would say you're going to see a healthy dose of Owen Stodmeyer and Ty Clemens. Ty Clemens is my man from this last year. That touchdown, I'm going to have that on repeat for years to come because that was awesome. And he only played snaps here and there. So maybe this is his chance to play a little bit more, get some more snaps in. You're going to see a lot of them. You're probably going to also see a little bit more of Said McConnell and George Rooks. You'll see a lot of those guys cycling in and out. And Quan Williams. You're talking about the future. Quan Williams is the future. He has not played a lot. I believe it was the the Fenway Bowl last year that he played significantly. Maybe this is his chance again to play significantly in a bowl game. But those are all the changes up there. In the secondary, it should be all the same because all of those guys are coming back. Amari Jackson's hurt. He won't play. But you're going to have Max Tucker. You're going to have Bryquise Brown, who needs to get more film out there. You lost Ryan Turner. There's one guy. But you also have Ashton McShane. You have Jalen Williams and Cameron Martinez that could also play along with Kari Johnson in that slot role. And then your safeties, you're stacked. You get KP Bryce and either Carter Davis or Omar Thornton. Speaking of Carter Davis, I wonder if they use him a little bit at corner too. So you have everything all set there. So it's really the defensive line. Will Donovan Ezeiruaku and Cam Horsley play? And if they don't, is it enough to have Neto Ekpala and Quintavious Hutchins and potentially like an Owen Stodmeyer up the middle? That'll be something to watch for. Now, in our second segment, I want to look at the offensive side of the ball. There's going to be some changes there as well. We'll look at who could be out, who could be opting out, because there's a few names to watch there, and a whole lot more. We'll get into all of that in just a moment. It's that time of year. The college football playoff is back, and with the new expanded 12-team format, it's guaranteed to be bigger and better than ever, bringing you all the hard-hitting and high-flying action that you love. TNT's sports coverage of the college football playoffs begins December 21st, starting with the college football playoff kickoff show presented by AT&T at 9:11 a.m. Eastern, leading into our first matchup, the Southern Methodist University Mustangs battling the Penn State Nittany Lions at noon. Then the Clemson Tigers look to upset the Texas Longhorns in a showdown at 4 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss a moment of the action. Watch the college football playoff presented by Allstate live on TNT, True TV, TBS, and Max. This is Locked On Boston College. AJ Black here. Thank you all for listening, and thank you all for making us your first listen every single day. And if you have not already subscribed to our channel on YouTube or on wherever you get your podcast, do that now. And check out Locked On ACC with Kenton Gibbs and Alex Dono next. Whenever you're done with this podcast, I think you'll enjoy their work. Now, let's get into the offensive side of the ball. Clearly, Grayson James is going to be your starting quarterback. And after that, it'll be probably Jacoby Robinson if something was to happen. I hope to God that nothing happens to Grayson James because they don't have an established backup quarterback now that Thomas Castellanos has left. That should be set in stone. You look at the wide receivers. You have Lewis Bond, who should play. You have Reed Harris, who also has become one of your, shining stars at wide receiver. We don't know the details on Jaden Skeet. He's been out. He's been out since the Louisville game. It's been an injury. I'm not sure if he'll be back. I would be surprised if they rush him back for a bowl game, but he's gone. So then you go back to who's the other guys that can play. You have Jonathan Montague. He's kind of filled in for Skeet. He should be there. And then you have Dino Tomlin, Luke McLaughlin, those kind of guys that can fill in. No real big changes there. Now at tight end, you have a senior that could opt out, Kamari Morales. I doubt it. I mean, him playing or not playing is not going to impact his draft stock. I've loved watching him play. I'm not being mean. I'm not being disrespectful here. I'm just saying he's, probably a fringe NFL guy as it is. He's probably going to enjoy just playing with them. And that should be the way, along with Jeremiah Franklin. You got those guys. Now, the biggest question marks to me are two positions, running back and offensive line. At offensive line, two positions I'd be watching for is the biggest one is Ozzy Trapillo going to play? Ozzy Trapillo, excuse me. This is a guy that, was the highest rated, I believe he was the highest rated offensive lineman, first team all ACC. He has a chance to be drafted next year. Not sure. I have not seen mock drafts on where he could end up in terms of, up on that, on the draft boards, but I imagine he has a chance. He would be behind Donovan Ezeiruaku, my number two in terms of potentially opting out. And I'm not sure if he is or not. That's, again, it's a question mark. We don't know. We'll have to wait and see. If he's gone, that brings up a question. That ends up a big question. Jude Bowery was hurt in the season finale. Is he going to be back? I believe I've seen pictures of him practicing. So I think he's going to be back. That's good because if you lose Trapillo, you're going to have to probably put Kevin Klein in at tackle. You could potentially shake things up in a little different way, but that's most likely. Obviously, Ozzy is one of your bedrocks in terms of offensive linemen. You need him out there, but there's a chance he doesn't play. That's a fair chance. And then right below him, in terms of potentially not playing, is Jack Conley. I've seen him, and I was talking to Mitch Wolf about it. There's potential, like he's going to a Shrine Bowl. He's already accepted that. He's going to go there. This is a guy that, maybe is starting to get some momentum in terms of finding a spot in an NFL roster next year. Will he want to risk it? That's a guard spot. Again, you have some guys that you can fill in. You have some of the younger guys. I think it was like Ryan Mickow could probably do it. Eric Stoggerty. You have a few younger dudes that could do it. But that's another potential. So you have two offensive linemen that we'll be watching to see if they opt out or if they play. I get the sense the culture of this team that a lot of these guys are going to want to play, but when feet hit road or wheels hit road, it becomes a different situation. So, once all it takes is to sign on with an agency and you get an agent in your ear, things could change. And I'm not blaming anyone for that. That's totally, as I said before, if I were in their shoes, I'd want to make sure that I've set myself up for my future. Running backs is another position that's going to be worth watching. Trayshawn Ward is out of eligibility, and so is Kai Robichaux. Kai has been at practice. I've definitely seen him in pictures, so I think he's going to play. And Trayshawn, I would imagine would too. But again, they're older players. Maybe they decide that they want to get ready for the draft too. Those two, I would be surprised if they were more than just like an undrafted free agent. But hey, that's what the whole process is for. So those are two other players that could obviously not change the dynamic. Because if you lose both of those dudes, you're going with your younger guys. I believe Turbo Richards is ready to go. Unless I was, not seeing it correctly, he was suited against Pitt. He didn't play, but he was suited. So you could get a sneak preview of what the offense could look like next year with Turbo Richard and Jordan McDonald being your star running backs. I'd kind of be interested to see what that looks like, but also I would love to see the season end with a chance for Kai to go out on top. That would be a nice, 4 out of 5 wins would be really great with a win over Nebraska. I think that would be a really cool way to end the season for him. So that kind of changes how things are there. And then special teams, you're going to have a new kick returner because Jaden McGowan's gone. That's new. I don't know who they're going to put back there. Maybe Isaiah Ferris because he's been doing some punts. But you'll have him and Montague back there. That'll be a different look as well. Obviously, that's going to change going into next year with VJ Wilkins committed to BC. You're going to have some new blood there. There's going to be your kick returns, but obviously you don't get them until next year. So that's one look there. So when you combine all this together, Donovan Ezeiruaku, your MVP, you're easily the best player on your team, could be the linchpin of where, in terms of opting out. It's him and Trapillo. Could you beat Nebraska without those two? Yes, you definitely could. I mean, the offense should be still really good. Like with Grayson James, I think they've got enough talent to do that. The defense, Dylan Raiola, without pressure on him, I'm a little worried, but I think I trust Tim Lewis enough to figure out how to mask whatever they don't have with Donovan Ezeiruaku if he doesn't play. If they have Donovan Ezeiruaku playing, get to FanDuel right now. Find whatever the money line is. Back it up. Give yourself the most favorable odds you can find, and make sure you hammer that. Because I feel like BC is as close to a sure win if he plays as possible. Now, again, I don't expect him to. Weird things happen though, right? Anything could happen. Now, in our final segment, wrapping things up, we're going to talk about the biggest news story of Monday, and it was another surprise retirement. The ACC is going to be down a head coach. I'll explain how the loss of Dave Clawson impacts Boston College. I'll explain all that in just a moment. I was just telling you guys about FanDuel, and I want to talk more about it. Get ready to tackle the NFL to action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. With the NFL, there's going to be there's Monday night games tonight. There's Thursday night games coming up. Big action, Buffalo and the Patriots. Whatever that spread is, hit Buffalo. Get ahead of in. This is just entertainment purposes from my choice, but I've been fading on the Patriots all year. You can get yourself started with 150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, but Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. Just pick more or less on at least two players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long at Prize Picks, America's number daily one sportsbook. Make your holidays bigger and brighter with Prize Picks, the best place to get real money action while watching your favorite sports. You can do this now with Prize Picks offering MasterCard for quick and easy deposits run into your account this sports season. Join now because this holiday season, Prize Picks is giving away 2 free picks in December, and they're giving away $30 million in rewards during Pixmas, excuse me. Now, download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after your play to get your first $5 lineup. Prize Pick, run your game. This is Locked On Boston College, AJ Black. We are wrapping things up. And after we wrap things up, head over to Eagle Insider. I have an exclusive interview with VJ Wilkins, the newest commitment to Boston College football. He's from Campbell University. He's a very fast wide receiver. You're going to want to hear all about why he chose the Eagles. Head on over there. It's 50% off an annual subscription. Treat yourself for Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever the holiday you celebrate. You can get in for like the price of a cup of coffee. Check it out right now. Now, on Monday, I was out shopping. I was getting some food for dinner, and I looked at my phone and I saw some shocking news. And it was from Pete Thamel of ESPN, who seems to get all the scoops, that Dave Clawson, the head coach of Wake Forest, has retired. This was out of, I saw Eric McLean of ACC Network saying this is not a surprise. It sounds like maybe Clawson was not the biggest fan in the way college football was heading, but this is big because this is another coach in the middle of, the offseason. This is not like the prime offseason time that he just said, I've had enough and is retiring. Now, Clawson obviously had a long, I think it was 11 seasons with the Demon Deacons. And he has one of the most infamous moments in Boston College history. And of course, that was the moment BC lost 3-0. As I have mentioned over and over and over again on this podcast, this was the worst game that I've ever seen in my life. And so let me just pull it up. Yeah, that's the good stuff. We're going to talk about the rest of this segment with that picture up. Well, Clawson, he deserves more than me just talking about him for beating BC 3-0 in 2015. He had Wake Forest, a team that was notoriously near the bottom of the ACC for years. He had them humming for a while. And it was with that mesh offense that he ran so well with Sam Hartman for a long time. And, he smoked BC for a couple games. He had a 3-game winning streak against BC. This last, they played 2021 and smoked BC 41-10. That was the game I think the entire BC team had the flu. I remember covering that game live. That was awful. And then beat them 43-15 in 2022. Another game under Jeff Hafley that was very forgettable. But he brought a culture. And the reason I bring this up was Wake Forest has been very good at I've seen them more and more getting guys from the Northeast to go down to Wake Forest because they're a good academic school, but they're a good academic school and you don't have to deal with the BS of being in Boston in the cold. So if you're a guy that just wants to get away and get a little bit warmer, go to Wake Forest, get a kind of similar experience, smaller school, a lot of that. And there were some guys that BC were targeting that ended up at Wake Forest. Credits it to Clawson. Now, who did they go from here? Well, unlike Jeff Hafley when he ditched BC to go to the Green Bay Packers, at least Wake Forest has some opportunities here. They're still behind the 8 ball because, a lot of the coaching changes have already happened. It's not like they're going to get Bill Belichick or anything, but now they have to look, maybe someone like Jim Mora Jr. from Connecticut would be an option. And that would probably also be another giant pain in the neck for Northeast recruiting. But he had BC's number, and that's the reason I want to bring up. In recruiting, and on the field. He made Wake Forest better. They had obviously had struggled recently, losing Riley Leonard, not Riley Leonard, excuse me, losing Sam Hartman hurt them for a bit. They just never were able the last couple seasons to find a guy that was a good replacement. But this is going to change again, and now it's going to be someone else to watch to see who ends up at Wake Forest. BC doesn't have to play Wake Forest for a couple of years, I think. At least they don't play them next year. We'll have to wait and see. Now, I'll be back again tomorrow with some more discussion about the transfer portal. Anything news related, we'll get into it. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for making Locked On Boston College your first listen every day, and for checking out me. And make sure to follow me on Twitter at AJBlack247. You can check out this podcast on YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you do. And we'll be back again tomorrow for another episode of Locked On Boston College. Your team every day.